I have to say I was a bit afraid to raise the topic of Playboy because I'm a guy speaking about Playboy, but they say that fortune favors the brave, so...
Shavinism.
Hi guys, my name is your own Shavit and welcome to Shavinism, where every Monday we do a discussion topic and every Thursday we do some comedy and characters. Nearly 2 weeks have passed since Hugh Hefner was found dead at the age of 91. The creator of Playboy magazine was found dead in his home, otherwise known as the famous or infamous Playboy Mansion. This got everyone to discuss his legacy. I don't think I'm making any news by saying that Hefner was a controversial figure. Some would say he was a chauvinist pig, while others would call him a human rights activist. People who criticize him would say that he is a man who exploited women for personal gain, while others would argue that he is a man who has helped liberate women from sexual oppression. Even with the woman who lived inside the mansion, this is not one-sided. Hef changed my life. He made me the person that I am today. I couldn't be more thankful for our friendship and our time together. I will miss him so much, but he will be in my heart forever. Well, not if you ask Holly Madison. Hef would encourage competition and body image issues between his multiple live-in girlfriends. His legacy is full of evidence of the exploitation of women for professional gain. We all routinely turn to drinking out of boredom or to escape our demons. On the one hand, Hefner was a human rights activist. He fought openly pro-abortions, for free speech, and against segregation at a time when it wasn't the norm. The magazine went on to publish interviews with Martin Luther King, Muhammad Ali, and Malcolm X. In 1981, Playboy featured Caroline Cossey, the first transgender model on the cover of Playboy. The Dark Side of the Mansion reveals the case of Peter Bogdanovich, a Hollywood director, who claims that Hefner forced himself onto his late partner, Playboy playmate Dorothy Stratton, in the jacuzzi in the famous mansion grotto. There have also been accusations that Bill Cosby's alleged rape incidents often happen in the Hefner mansion. Hefner's response was, "I would never tolerate this kind of behavior, regardless of who was involved," adding the mere thought of the allegations against Cosby, a good friend, was truly saddening. Okay, so now putting Hefner's own character and controversy aside, I read quite a bit about Playboy and the reactions towards Playboy since he passed away, and I find a dissonance between how we view sexuality, and specifically women's sexuality in the world today. For those that have been following the channel, you may be aware that I do try to see both sides of the argument, and so I'm gonna put both sides out there, and then I want to see what you think and if you have any opinions towards one side or the other. I think the main argument is whether the magazine helped the progression of women and to express their sexuality, or if it actually set them back and kept them oppressed in a corner that was comfortable for men. We're all familiar with the criticism towards Playboy, that it uses women for the pleasure of men, that it degrades them, that it sees them as sexual collectible trophies. As writer Jessica Valenti states, the view that Hefner was using women towards his personal gain. There's also criticism that Playboy reduced males' responsibility towards pregnancy. The arguments in favor of Playboy say that it had a lot to do with the sexual liberation of women, that it empowers women by putting them in the center. The women who posed for Playboy were seen more as classy and less as slutty, and among the names we can find Kim Basinger, Cindy Crawford, Raquel Walsh, and Al McPherson. I don't think any of the names I mentioned were ever really judged or criticized for it. And here's what Hugh Hefner had to say about this.
I think that women, in the best sense, and not in a negative sense, are objects of desire. That is a celebration of one's own sexuality and the fact that we are two sexes. And what Playboy tried to do, quite frankly, is to elevate it to another kind of level, you know, that did celebrate that. Playboy tried to give it a little style, and I think you need to talk, quite frankly, to the women who posed for Playboy and see how they feel about it.
There's also the debate that Hefner was a human rights activist, and he did a lot to fight for free speech, the rights of African Americans, abortions, gay rights, transgender rights, and those sort of things. Not to mention his contribution to Snapchat filters and Halloween costumes. Let's take a moment to appreciate that. For me personally, the debate about Playboy is a little bit of a metaphor as to the debate of how we see women's sexuality in the modern world. For example, we talk about the acceptance of different body types and to love your own body, but then the models that we follow on Instagram have a very, very specific body type. We hate that women have to always undress for camera, but we all watch Game of Thrones. I sometimes get a feeling from talking to women that they want to be the it girl, but they judge the industry of it girls. And I also ask myself this, would Playboy be any different if it had a founding mother as opposed to a founding father? If it had a Zoe Hefner instead of a Hugh Hefner? I don't mind Playboy so much, but I think I've always had a dream to be sexualized, and I wish someone paid me to appear on the front cover of a magazine for women's pleasure. But I have to admit that I've never felt threatened by women, so it's easy for me to say. I also never felt like I'm competing with handsome men. It's not like I'm in competition with Johnny Depp and Leonardo DiCaprio, though I'm sure my life would have been easier if I looked like either of them, but I always felt I was accepted for who I was regardless of how I looked. So in that case, it's much easier to be a guy. That's what I have to say about the pros and cons on the topic. If you did like this discussion, please subscribe, comment, like, share. I would love to hear your thoughts about Hefner, Playboy, the mansion, women's sexuality, or anything else you'd like to discuss. Where do you stand on the topic? Thank you very much. I'll see you next time.